Well, the last 24 hours in crypto have honestly been pretty brutal, as Bitcoin's price has fallen below $90,000, bringing a ton of altcoins down anywhere from 10 to 15% and leaving a lot of investors wondering, man, just how bad is this going to get? Will the crypto market keep crashing? Is the bottom in? What is going to happen next? And although realistically, no one has the true answer to that question, there are a couple things that I am watching right now that I think are leaving us some breadcrumbs or some signs, and I wanted to share it with you. And so we have a good bit to unpack today, especially from a technical perspective. So let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. Now, starting off with Bitcoin's price here today, what we can see is that, yeah, we are in what's called the last chance zone. As you all know, as I mentioned before, Bitcoin took a quite gnarly dump. Over the course of 48 hours, its price just absolutely nuked it, falling from roughly $96,000 all the way down to roughly $86,000. Now, as this pullback did happen, Bitcoin actually broke out of our HMZ, okay? The HMZ is this zone that I've told you all about a million times. I told you about it for the very first time back on December 20th back here, and I told you all while we are in this sideways range, while Bitcoin is going sideways between $89,000 and $109,000, you are going to see everything under the sun thrown at you. You're going to see liquidity hunts, liquidations, breakouts, false breakouts, and fake outs, and much more. I mean, everything that could be thrown at you is going to happen. Well, we were in that zone for nearly 2 months, or a little bit above 2 months actually, but Bitcoin actually went ahead and broke out of it just yesterday. The thing about that is, though, in a moment like this, when you break out of a zone like that, a major structure, you enter what's called your last chance zone, okay? Now, your last chance zone is the level in which will give you the only real chance you'll have at doing what's called a fake out. And a fake out is very simple. A fake out looks like this. You have your, say, HMZ, for example, and you obviously have your resistance, you have your support. There's going to be a little zone within a couple of percentage points above that HMZ and below that HMZ. And remember, HMZ is just a high manipulation zone. Easy way to think of it, sideways channel, right? There's a couple levels below that sideways channel and above that sideways channel. And these are your last chance zones. And these are going to be the zones that make it possible for a fake out to happen, which simply looks like the price coming down here and then breaking back within that structure. The reason things like this happen is to trap bears oftentimes, right? You'll of course see the price break to the downside and lose support. All the bears will start shorting the price, expecting it to go down, but then the market actually reverses. All of the liquidity that was created by this move gets sucked up, and then the price just goes back in here for a successful manipulative move, right? Or it happens to the upside, right? You'll break to the upside, you'll start to go up, all the bulls will get too bullish and they'll open up long trades, and then the market will fall back down, liquidating all those people who open those long trades, and then of course they just got manipulated as you do, right? So you see these little zones to the top and to the bottom side of these structures that create the opportunities for these things called fake outs. And that's where Bitcoin is at right now. Matter of fact, if we do zoom into the 4 hours, what you can see is that it's actually working quite well. Bitcoin's price fell within this little purple range, right? This little purple zone right here. And what did it do? Well, its price went right back up to that previous point of support from back here. Look, let's go back out to the 1 day so you can see what I'm talking about. This point of support right here from, let's see, January 13th of 2025. There was a support level there. And as you can see on the 4-hour charts, Bitcoin's price went right back up and retested that previous point of support and has now seemingly flipped it as resistance. So what you can see is that the bulls are attempting to make this fake out happen. The price came back down and it reversed all the way back up. And it's trying its best to break back above that previous point of support. It does not want to flip the support level into a resistance level. It doesn't want to do what's called a back test, which means you come down, you back test, you continue downwards. The bulls are putting up a hell of a fight to try to stop this move from happening. And I'm honestly under the belief that whoever is successful right here will probably dictate where this market goes for a while. If the bulls are capable of pushing Bitcoin's price back up above let's call it $89,200, I do believe that we will see Bitcoin's price try to make a run back up towards the upside. That could look like its price pushing, I would say reasonably from $94,000 to $96,000. I think some sort of more macro Fibonacci extension back up to the golden pocket makes a ton of sense to me. So I would expect some sort of move of that nature. But if Bitcoin's price does get rejected here, and let's say it does fall back below and lose, let's kind of move this up just a tad, because I do want this to be precise for you so you can check it out. Let's go ahead and I'm actually going to move it down a little bit. We're going to move it down towards $85,000. I do expect that if we lose $85,000, we will see Bitcoin's price open the door for capitulation. I mean, obviously, nothing is guaranteed, and these markets are extremely manipulated. So maybe take this with a grain of salt. But history would go to show that if Bitcoin's price loses 85K, it could open up the door for a continued move as low as $75,000. Now, the reason that I say that is because there is not much liquidity below 85K. What you can see here is 85,000 is where all this chop began. So there's going to be a ton of liquidity here, a ton of support here. But the moment you lose that support level, I mean, look what happened. We literally just went straight up through this zone. Not much chop, not much liquidity, not much anything, quite frankly. And generally speaking, when you go straight up through a key level of resistance, you oftentimes will fall straight down through it whenever you're trying to chase it as support. And so with that in mind, I will be honest with you guys, is that again, this isn't a guarantee. And again, it may not go that way because a lot of people are going to expect it to go that way, but it is a risk and it is something you need to be aware of, that if Bitcoin's price breaks below that $85,000 level, a pullback here for Bitcoin that could look like another continued 10 to 15% to the downside and a possible 20 to 30% for altcoins could very well be on the table, and you need to be aware of it. Now, you may be wondering, well, what could cause a move of this nature? What could either cause a move upwards or cause a move downwards? Well, I'm not going to go to say for sure that this is going to happen, but I am keeping a very close eye on the next 2 days, actually, as we do have unemployment claims coming just tomorrow, and then we also have core PCE, which is inflation data, coming the next day. I think, for example, if we get really bad unemployment claims and then a really bad, maybe like PCE data comes in super bad, super hot, it wouldn't shock me if this market really capitulates because the traditional market's going to capitulate. And that sort of news could definitely push the price towards some of those lower levels, if not all the way, at least just some of the way down, maybe back towards 81K or 79K or something like that. Or if they come in extremely good and better than expected, maybe that is the exact catalyst that is needed in order to push Bitcoin's price out of this last chance zone and back up towards your higher levels, right? These are the sort of things that are possible. And I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like I know what's going to happen, guys. That would just kind of be nonsensical of me. No one knows. I don't know. No YouTuber, no Twitter analyst, no one knows what's going to happen within this last chance zone. But I will tell you how I'm preparing for whatever does happen. The first option is that if we actually do see the market bounce towards the upside, I do expect us to see some altcoins running as well. And it is within my strategy that I am actually going to take some profit off the table if we do see Bitcoin hit $95,000 towards $97,000. I still think there is a lot that needs to happen. I think we're in a spot right now where Bitcoin still is going to need to make a ton of progress. It's going to need to break this downward trending level. It's going to need to be able to break back above $100,000. I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen in order for Bitcoin to cancel out this negative move we just made, right? It's going to have to, again, break the trend and set the higher high and start resetting some of those indicators. It's going to be a process, a multi-step process for Bitcoin to recover and try to continue upwards. And I'd rather just take some profits off the table, right? I am still up. My Bitcoin average cost is around $29,000 to $31,000, just depending on what tracker I'm using. My average cost for things like Solana around $30, ETH around $1,500 to $1,400, right? So a lot of these positions that I'm holding are still in profit. And so even though I could be cutting out a decent chunk of profit if the price does push upwards, I'm totally fine with that. I am just kind of in a spot right now where I think it's going to be a multi-step process to get back to the upside, and I'd rather just take a little profit off the table. And I'm not talking about a lot, just at least enough to make me feel good, right? Because this was an ugly move to the downside, and I'd rather take just a tiny 2 or 3% profit off the table to lock in some gains as we do start trying to make those steps to break towards the upside. If Bitcoin's price does fall to the downside, I told you all my game plan yesterday. I'm going to be buying at macro support levels. So I'll be buying a little bit around $85,000 on the money, and then I'll probably do another one right around that psychological level of $80,000, and then I'll obviously save a lot of big purchases for if/when Bitcoin's price does come back towards that $73,000 to $75,000 range. So at no point am I selling all of my crypto. At no point am I freaking out and getting all my positions out, because quite frankly, when you look at everything paints the picture that Bitcoin should get some relief soon. And what I mean by that is I do expect Bitcoin's price to try to rally at some point, whether it be here or whether it be here. Your RSI, for example, on your 1 day is completely oversold now. The lowest level that it's been to since we were back here at the bottom of the 2024 pullback. And then if you look at certain things like your liquidation levels, you can see how it's playing out. I mean, there are currently nearly $17 billion in liquidations to the upside, with only just a measly $1 to $2 billion left to the bottom side. And what that implies to me is that even if Bitcoin's price does fall a little bit more, I do expect some sort of move upwards to start trying to liquidate some of these short traders, because quite frankly, this is just easy money, because all of these short traders are so confident that the market's going to keep crashing. It'll be very easy to start, kind of short squeezing them and liquidating them from, a manipulative perspective. And so with that in mind, again, I do expect that the crypto market will get some relief. I do think it is going to try to rally at some point. I guess the biggest question here is whether or not it happens within this last chance zone, or whether it's going to need to get a big push to the downside first and then start really violently liquidating those people. That is actually something that I said over in the school yesterday. If you can see here, I said as the market continues to fall, there are nearly $16 billion in liquidation stacked up towards $100,000, while only $1 billion remain near $86,000. At some point, the market will rally to relieve this selling pressure, and when it does, I expect it to be incredibly violent, likely triggering a short squeeze. If you're just now opening short trades, you're playing a very risky game, in my opinion, unless you have a proper stop loss or using low leverage. Stay sharp. And again, it's because these liquidation levels are so high, and because the short traders and the bears are so greedy right now, it'll be very easy to liquidate them, even if that means just pushing back up towards 90K. So my general thesis here, of course, with you guys, and I will let you know, if you do want to check out the school, I'll tell you about it in a little bit here. Don't worry. But my general thesis here is that, look, the market's in a pretty rocky spot right now. And whatever happens within this purple box that you see here, ranging between $89,000 and $85,000, is very likely going to determine the direction that we go in for what could be multiple weeks. I think reasonably that makes a ton of sense. And so with that in mind, you got to stay sharp and you need to watch this closely. I am optimistic because we are seeing our indicators to the downside. We are seeing liquidations drying up to the bottom side. We're seeing overextensions on basically every major indicator. I mean, dude, if you just remove these drawings, look at your Bollinger Bands on the 1 day. We got a rejection off that 20-day and have now pushed outside of the Bollinger Band envelope, which is something that just doesn't usually happen for very long. Look back here, for example, the moment we did this, we pushed out. The moment we did this, we pushed up. The moment we did this, we pushed up, then fell again, then pushed back up, right? So you don't usually stay in these little bad times for very long. And so I do expect the market to try to recover sometime soon. The question still remains just whether or not that happens within the last chance zone, or whether we need to capitulate one more time. So as we do go forward, the best thing that you can do is watch this purple box extremely closely. Your homework for me tonight is to go put this purple box on your chart and watch it like a hawk, because whatever happens here is going to be the determining factor of what this market looks like, not only for the rest of this week, but probably the next month or so as well. And so pay attention to PCE data. And if you do want even more information from me, I will share a couple things with you. As you can see, I have been doing a ton of my technical analysis, especially as of recently over on BTCC. I've come to realize that it's just a better technical analysis experience, because I also get my trading tools right next to it. So if you are a trader and you want to check it out, you can get a 10% bonus on all first-time deposits between $500 and $100,000, which means if you deposit $3,000, they'll give you $300 back on the spot to start trading with. And whatever money you make from that $300 is yours to keep, no questions asked. So it's a great way to make some easy profits, especially during a time like this in the market where profits are scarce. The next thing I will let you know is that if you are a new crypto investor and you are a little bit kind of overwhelmed and confused by this market, head to the link down below and go download my free beginner's guide. It's very simple. It's free. Again, I have nothing to sell you. It's quite simply me just giving you, an update on how you can understand crypto, get started in crypto, store your crypto, beginner crypto strategies, technical analysis, indicators, and much more. And at the end, I will tell you a little bit about the school. Now, speaking of the school, guys, you can go check that out if you do want information about what I'm doing in my own portfolios, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, my game plans. I literally bought over 10 cryptos the other day. So if you do want access to all this information, last but not least, this will be available for you down in the description below. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month. You'll get access to me, other coaches. You're going to get access to daily analysis, pro trades, community traders, and much more. And the gains here have been fantastic. Even over days like yesterday when everything is falling, look at how this community has been able to shift a little bit, and it can make gains whenever the market is down 70%, 100%, 11%, $300, 30%, 30%, 26% over and over and over again. So if you want to check all that stuff out, all those links will be down there for you below. And last but not least, if you want to follow me on Twitter at TylerHillYT, you can get more analysis from me as well. But with that in mind, that's going to be about it for today's video. Watch this last chance zone extremely closely. And as it does play out, I'll be here with you every single step of the way, updating you what's going on and what I'm expecting next. So if you have been enjoying the content, please do let me know by smashing that like button. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.